Hello, everyone. Hopefully, we've got the people rolling in here to a very special live event here on StockCharts.com. I am thrilled to be hosting my good friend Tony Zhang, Chief Strategist at OptionsPlay, for a special discussion about some very exciting new products that have just launched on StockCharts. Really, I think industry-leading, cutting-edge kind of stuff. We are going to walk you through all of that today. So really excited to have you guys all here today and to have Tony with me as well. For any of you who don't know, my name is Grayson Roze. I am the Director of Operations here at StockCharts.com. I have had the distinct pleasure of working with Tony and the team for the last couple of years to bring options to StockCharts. That has been a mission of ours for some time now. And we wanted to not just do it, not just throw it up the way that everyone else has, but to actually do it right. And so when we started this journey a couple of years ago, thinking through, how can we bring new options tools to the StockCharts platform in a kind of an unusual way, something that's going to be different from other platforms out there. We turned our attention over to Tony and the good folks at OptionsPlay and said, hey, we want your help building something really special. I am so thrilled that we have finally done that, and especially with the launch of these new add-ons for StockCharts.com that you guys are going to see in action today. Very cool stuff. So, Tony, welcome to the show. Welcome to the webinar. So great to have you here. How are you doing?
Yeah, thank you so much, Grayson. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. And you're absolutely right. I am really excited and really thrilled to be sitting here today and showing you some of the industry-leading experiences that we have managed to build together in this partnership. I've been a StockCharts.com member for almost 2 decades now. One of the first technical analysis tools that I used when I first opened up my first technical analysis textbook was looking at StockCharts.com as one of the first places that you can, dabble in technical indicators back then at the time. And
Yep.
I'm really thrilled to see kind of the evolution that StockCharts.com has gone through over the years, and finally being able to partner with you guys because I continue to use your tools on a daily basis for my technical scanning capabilities, and I actually want to walk users through some of the key features that I love about StockCharts.com. But more importantly, I think one of the things that we've been able to do together is merge the best of your technical analysis tools with the best of our options tools into, as you said, an industry-leading experience for options traders to help you save hours and hours of research to find the optimal trade ideas that also aligns with perhaps a technical view, and being able to do so in just a couple of seconds and having these trades personalized to each individual options trader. There's a huge amount of work that went into it, and we are really excited to show all of that to you during today's session.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see it. As always, it's so fun to see these tools through your eyes as well. It's one thing to play with them myself and use them myself, but to see you use all this stuff in action is always a treat. So I'm really excited to jump in. Before we do that, I do want to just remind everyone. So we are recording this session. You will have access to the recording after the show ends. So if you do want to go back and review any of the things that Tony and I talk about today, you can absolutely do that. We'll make sure that that is available. And as we're going through here, if you are not currently using the OptionsPlay add-on for StockCharts.com and you're wondering, okay, this is looking great, how do I actually get this thing? We'll show you that at the end of the show as well. So we'll start with the big stuff, the good stuff. The Strategy Center, I think, is where we're going to begin. Tony, I'm going to turn it over to you, but what do you have for us here on the Strategy Center?
Yeah, thank you so much, Grayson. The Strategy Center is really the core of the partnership that we have here that merges, like I said, the most powerful technical screening capabilities that you guys here have at StockCharts, the chart list that allows me to quickly go through that list to understand where there are kind of some of the best trading setups from a technical perspective, and then aligning that with kind of being able to structure personalized option strategies across all of those ideas, and doing so that they are ranked for you so that you know exactly which ones you might want to trade an options experience on. So if you're using the StockCharts.com website. Now, when you log into your homepage, you'll see an OptionsPlay Strategy Center here on the upper left-hand corner in nice green colors here on the upper left-hand corner. And when you click on that, that brings you to what we call the OptionsPlay Strategy Center. And at the core of the Strategy Center are 6 technical scans that we have built. 4 of them you can currently find within the OptionsPlay platform. So if you are currently an OptionsPlay subscriber, you have access to these 4 scans, which are the trend following scans and the counter trends scans. Those are bullish and bearish trend following and counter trend, which are fairly intuitive as to what those means. But 2 scans that are exclusive to the partnership that we have at StockCharts.com are the bullish outperformance and the bearish underperformance. These are stocks that are underperforming the broader markets, or stocks that are outperforming the broader markets. And these are some of my favorite scans for finding the best trading setups. And so what I'll do is I'll kind of walk you through the scans first, and then show you how you can easily structure the most optimal option strategy that fits your personalized profile for each one of these types of ideas. So if you click on any of these scans, whether it's trend following, counter trend, or outperformance or underperformance, you basically get a list of stocks that meet that specific requirement. But more importantly, one of the things that I think for options traders, the challenge number one with most trading ideas is that number one, when you do a technical scan, you might get anywhere from a few symbols to a few hundred symbols. And it's a lot of work to just sort through that alone without even looking at the options piece to begin with. And one of the things that I love about StockCharts.com is just how easy it is for me to take the output of a specific scan and quickly be able to click on a specific symbol and look at the technical chart based on my way of viewing charts. So I have chart templates that I like to have, and I click on a single symbol and I get the chart template. So it allows me to view the specific stock using the technical indicators that I like to analyze each individual stock with, which is usually starting off with, which is relative strength. How strong is the stock relative to the S&P 500? As you can see, Honeywell recently made a new 52-week high, and it made a new high relative to the S&P 500. I like to see both absolute and relative performance going into a bullish setup like this. And this is the type of chart that gives me a clear confirmation of that, along with momentum indicators like MACD. I like to keep my charts fairly simple for the most part, at least for an initial screen, and then I might add a few more indicators on there to do a secondary review of things. But initially, I like to keep things really simple. But more importantly, I think one of the most powerful tools of StockCharts.com, and many of you, that perhaps find challenging, looking through a list of 10, 15 ideas to figure out which one you want to do, is the chart list feature that you guys have at StockCharts.com. It's one of the tools that I use every single day as a member, but it's one of the things that I think really makes StockCharts.com stand out in terms of the features that they have, because lots of places have charting packages, but no one has chart lists the way StockCharts.com has. And I think it's really important because when you get a list of ideas, right, and these are technical scans, these are stocks that are outperforming the S&P 500. As you saw on that list today, there were about 24 ideas, 24, maybe 30 ideas. It takes a lot of time to go through 20, 30 stocks. If you're using it from a charting package, you're manually typing in. I used to have a charting package up on another screen, type in one symbol, look at it, type in the next symbol, look at it, type in the next symbol. There's a lot of manual work that goes into just looking at this list to say, okay, out of these 30 stocks, which one do I really want to look at from a technical perspective? Well, the chart list makes that really easy, because it basically just takes all of the stocks from my specific scan, and I can basically quickly analyze those ideas just by scrolling, right? I do it on my computer, I do it on my phone. Instead of scrolling through Instagram, I scroll through technical scans. I know that sounds cheesy for a lot of people, but this is what I spend my time doing. Instead of scrolling on Instagram, I scroll through what stocks meet specific scans, and it allows me to very quickly, within just a minute or two, to go through 2 to 3 dozen charts and know which stocks I like the trading setup for. I don't have to manually input these 24 stocks into my charting package to figure out, okay, this chart looks good, that chart doesn't look good, and have to remember which charts that I really like. I can basically just scroll the same way people scroll on Instagram and say, okay, I really like this particular chart setup. It recently made a new breakout to a new 52-week high. I know it's outperforming the S&P 500, and I look at stocks like McKesson that's gapped up higher and continued to move higher, and I think to myself, that's a little too late. It's approaching resistance. That's not for me, and I very quickly can go through a list and know which stocks I love and which stocks I don't particularly love from a technical setup perspective, and I know all these specific stocks meet very strict technical requirements that I have built into these scans. So you can leverage these scans on its own just for equities trading. I find them incredibly helpful for idea generation, and for many of you that have been following OptionsPlay for either a few months or a few years, the trade ideas that we generate on a weekly basis for you actually many times come from these specific trade setups that we generate at StockCharts.com. So this is a tool that I use, like I said, every single day in my process for looking at ideas and looking at the overall market. It makes it incredibly simple for me to look at a few dozen ideas in just a few minutes, rather than it might take me half an hour otherwise doing it manually using a charting setup. So, that in itself, if you're just an equity trader, if you're not an options trader, that in itself can save you hours and hours of research every single week from a technical trading perspective. However, from an options trading perspective, that's really where the work starts. Because even if I've identified 5 or 6 charts that I really like from a technical perspective, the amount of time it takes me to then structure an options trade on these 5 or 6 different names just to figure out which ones, number one, have a valid option strategy, and then out of those 5 or 6, which ones I prefer, because sometimes I might have 3 stocks that all have valid strategies, and I have to pick out, from the 3, which one I really want to trade. There's a lot of work that goes into it, far more work that goes into that. Sometimes to research 5 or 6 ideas, it could take me close to 20, 30 minutes to go through 5 or 6 option strategies to figure out which ones I want to trade. And that's really where the OptionsPlay Strategy Center comes into play, because not only does it gives me a list of all the stocks that meet my trades from a technical requirement, but more importantly, I can quickly say, well, for outperforming stocks, I like to buy call options. Maybe I like to go roughly out 60 days. I like to be more conservative with my approach in terms of selecting strike prices on a long call option, a longer dated call option. And what this does is it basically automates that entire research process on the option side of things and ranks all of the trade ideas that meet the technical requirements for my trading setup with all of the call options that I can purchase, and it ranks the calls from cheapest to most expensive. So out of the stocks that I looked at, Sempra Energy has the cheapest stock options to buy, Honeywell the second cheapest, Cisco the third, and I basically have a list of all the stocks that I could potentially buy call options on where my max risk is $2,500, and it basically ranks it for me so that I don't have to go one by one plugging these specific symbols into a tool like OptionsPlay to figure out, okay, if I bought call options on these stocks, which ones maybe have the cheapest call options to buy, which ones have the best risk to reward if I'm looking at other types of strategies, and it basically ranks it for me. And this saves me hours and hours of research every single day to figure out what is the right option strategy to trade, and then aligning that with all of the technical research that I typically have to do to find a trade idea. So that in itself is what is at the core of the strategy center. Now, what I want to walk you through is some more interesting trade setups than just buying a long call option, because many of you like to trade more complicated strategies, more complex strategies, such as buying a debit spread or a credit spread, or maybe even trading an iron condor. So what I'll do is I'll point you to maybe a good example of this is maybe selling a credit spread, right? So you have a list of ideas, bullish stocks that you might like, and you maybe, some people like to sell credit spreads. So I like to sell roughly 45-day credit spreads that are more aggressive in nature when I'm selecting my strike prices. And basically what this does is it basically now re-updates that entire list of stocks that are outperforming the S&P 500 with a 45-day aggressive credit spread, bullish credit spread in this particular case. And now it tells me that CrowdStrike is the stock that's going to give me the highest or the best risk to reward from a credit spread perspective out of that list of stocks that I'm looking at. And I can quickly look at, click on CrowdStrike just to look at the chart, make sure that I confirm that this is the type of trade setup that I like. This is a stock that recently is breaking out, on an absolute basis, outperforming the S&P 500, positive momentum. Still has room to run before it reaches kind of that resistance level around 390. This is kind of my ideal technical setup, right? And I know that it's going to give me a credit spread that collects 41% of the vertical width. For those of you that like selling credit spreads, you know exactly what that means. For those of you that don't sell credit spreads, you might have a little bit of learning to do here as to what that means to collect 40% of the vertical width. But this is kind of my most optimal credit spread with a technical setup that I have found using this particular scan. And like you said, for those of you that have experience trading options, selling credit spreads, you know the amount of time it takes you to find a trading setup that you like from a bullish perspective, and then setting up the options trade alongside with that. And it takes a lot of time. Here, I can tell you that CrowdStrike, Palo Alto Network, Workday are 3 trades that I would definitely trade without even having to pull up the trade in itself, because I know these are the stocks that meet my specific technical requirements, and they're collecting close to 40% of the vertical width when it comes to selling a credit spread. Those are my ideal credit spreads to sell. And this does all of that work for you that used to take hours and hours of research that now just take a few seconds, and you can fully customize it, because some of you don't like to sell 45-day credit spreads. Some of you like to sell 2-week credit spreads, or maybe 1-week credit spreads. You can choose what your preferences are and have this recalculate for you. So for example, if you like to sell shorter dated options, well, Honeywell now is at the top of the list. So, depending on the option strategies you like to trade, depending on the type of option strategies you like, different stocks get, bubble up to the top of the list. So for those of you that like to buy debit spreads, and maybe you like to go out 60 days like I do, a more conservative, or I'm sorry, more balanced risk to reward ratio on credit on debit spreads. Now Salesforce bubbles up to the top. So, depending on the option strategies you like to trade, you feel comfortable trading, different stocks makes sense from an options trading perspective. Even though all of these stocks make sense from a technical perspective, from an options perspective, they're very different. And this tool basically helps you sort through all of that noise and does all of and structures a debit spread on all 30 stocks for you, and then ranks it for you based on which one have the cheapest debit spreads to buy. And Salesforce in this particular case has the cheapest debit spreads out of all of the stocks in this list. So buying that 340 to buy 400 debit spread only cost you $18.50, which is 30% of the vertical width. That gives you a risk reward ratio of about 0.4 to 1. So you're getting a really nice risk reward ratio on this specific debit spread when you're buying a debit spread that only costs you 30% of the vertical width. So you have an over 2 to 1 risk reward ratio on this specific trade. So this is really designed to help you structure an options trade on the stocks that meet your technical requirements in just a few seconds, and know that you're trading the best trade out of all the different ideas, because there's no way that you could have structured 30 different debit spreads manually and know that Salesforce had the cheapest debit spreads to buy. Now you know for a fact that you have identified the cheapest debit spreads to buy on the list of stocks that you like. And I love this bullish outperforms scan when I'm looking for bullish ideas, and bearish underperform scan when I'm looking for bearish ideas. And like I said, that is one of the scans that is exclusive to the OptionsPlay StockCharts.com partnership. The other scans that you have here on the trend following and the counter trend ideas, you can find those same ideas on the OptionsPlay platform. And even for those ideas, this allows you to quickly look at, okay, for the bullish trend following ideas, a lot of times I like to sell credit spreads. So I like to go out 45 days. I like to be aggressive, but you can choose the settings that make most sense for you. Some people like to sell short dated credit spreads, longer dated credit spreads. You choose what suits your needs. You click on update, and within a couple of seconds, we will rank the stocks in that bullish bullish trend following list for which ones have the best credit spreads to sell. And you can see Snapchat collects 40% of the vertical width. That's the best performing credit spread that we can find for this list of stocks. And then you have Micron, Arista Networks, Taiwan Semiconductors. These all look pretty good. As you get further down the list, like HSBC, I'm only collecting 20% of the vertical width. I'm not even going to bother looking at that. But you wouldn't have known that if you were just looking at a list of stocks and you would have to structure the credit spread on HSBC and then figure out, oh, I'm not going to collect enough money. Let me move on to the next stock. And you spend a lot of time doing that research. Now we basically rank which credit spreads give you the best risk reward ratio at the very top. We've done all the work for you. So you just focus on, okay, let me take a look at Snapchat, make sure that I confirm that I like the chart, maybe look a bit at the fundamentals. As you can see, this is a stock that recently broke out to a new high, is pulled back to a support level here. This is really where the risk to reward looks incredibly strong for looking for selling that type of credit spread. You're looking for a pullback to a major support level. So it aligns with everything that I need from a technical perspective. Maybe I do a little bit more research on the fundamental perspective, make sure I'm really confident in this specific trade. But now I know I'm pulling the trigger on what is the best possible trade structure on a trend following idea, and I know that I'm trading the best possible options trade. I didn't miss a specific trade because I didn't look at the credit spreads on all of these stocks. It automates all of that for you here within the strategy center. So hopefully that gives you a pretty good overview of kind of the power of the strategy center and the power of the partnership that we have here with StockCharts.com. Like I said, this is really one of the best parts of the partnership is how we've been able to merge the technical scanning capabilities of StockCharts, the chart list that allows me to quickly look at that list and know which stocks I love, which ones I don't, and then being able to structure the options trade on that within just a few seconds.
Yeah, Tony, this is a fantastic demo. Thank you so much for such a thorough walkthrough. The word that I want everyone that's watching this, the word that I want everyone to think about here is streamline. That is the most important part of what we've built with the Strategy Center, is streamlining your process. I'm a car guy. You might see the car keys sitting above my head there to the right. So, most options tools that are out there on the rest of the market are kind of like giving you a race car, but it's in parts sitting on the floor and you got to build it yourself. And sure, everything that you need is sitting there in front of you, but you have to construct it yourself. This is like the race car being delivered right to you on the track, and you just jump in the driver's seat and you hit go and you're off to the races. There's so much value here that's just right in front of you, and it's taking all of those, for lack of a better word, options that are out there, and just putting them right in front of you, making it easy to streamline your process and find trades that really fit your criteria, fit your process, fit your strategy. So I love what you're showing here. I think it is just so clear when we get a walkthrough from someone like you that knows the tool in and out. It is just so clear the value that is here. So thank you so much for a thorough demo of the Strategy Center and of those read-only chart lists, which is actually, I think, my favorite part of this, being able to get those lists delivered right to your account. And then you can use those around the rest of the site. If you're a StockCharts user, you know the value of chart lists. You can access those lists around the rest of the site and bring those into your process. So being able to have those read-only lists from Tony and the team right from the Strategy Center there, I think is just fantastic. We're only scratching the surface, though. The Strategy Center is only one part of what we've built here with this new OptionsPlay add-on. So I think if you're up for it, I'd love to jump over to the widgets, to the SharpCharts workbench and the ACP, and show how we've also integrated some of these fantastic options tools from you guys directly into our charting workbenches, right into to the charting pages that you can use to see the markets. So what do you have for us on the widgets?
Yeah, Grayson. Yeah, so let's take a look at kind of how we've integrated our our widgets directly into your charting packages, right? Because StockCharts.com, one of the primary use cases of why we use StockCharts.com is your charting packages to be able to quickly build really beautiful charts on the assets that you want to visualize prices for, and being able to see being able to see from a technical perspective how that asset is performing. And one of the challenges that I think a lot of traders have is that when you're using charting packages like this, is that, especially for options traders, is that when you look at a chart like this, you still need to have a separate tool up to look at option strategies on that specific chart. And a lot of times people have an options chain that looks like this, right? So if you're looking at a stock like Meta, which happens to be a stock that I particularly like at the moment, and you're trying to figure out how to structure that option strategy on Meta, you're basically looking at a chart like this and a chain like this to figure out, okay, Meta's trading around that 583. It's got resistance at 600. How do I think about structuring a trade like this? Do I buy a debit spread that's seeking for that breakout above 600? Do I trade just a simple call option? Do I sell a put option? What do I do? And there's a lot of work that goes into structuring an options trade. And that's really kind of where the OptionsPlay tool comes into play, because depending on what your views are on a specific stock, you can simply click on I'm bullish, I'm bearish, or currently implied volatility is high and I'm looking to generate some premium on this particular stock, and being able to instantly structure option strategies on the back of that. So for example, if let's say I'm looking at Meta and I have a bullish view outlook here on Meta, well, I can look at instantly structuring 3 strategies on Meta. I can look at buying 100 shares of the stock, buying a call option, or buying a vertical spread. And what this does is it not only presents 3 strategies for you, but it also optimizes the strike prices initially without having to do any initial work. And this is something that I think for a lot of traders that struggle with figuring out what is the optimal expiration date and strike price, what are the right strategies to trade, this does a lot of that work for you. So you just, you're looking at a stock that you like from a chart perspective. How do you structure an options trade on it? This does it instantly for you. And it allows you to compare it side by side. It shows you kind of the strategy itself, the risk to reward. It even explains these strategies in plain English to you for those of you that are brand new to option strategies. And it removes the complexity of looking at an options chain where you just have a wall of numbers. It's like handing you a phone book and saying, everything you need is in here. You just have to go and figure it out yourself. We basically do that work for you. We structure the trades for you. And then if you're looking at a chart like this, one of the most important uses of charts for options traders is to get a sense for outlook, right? We see that resistance clearly at 600. What if I'm right and it breaks out above 600? And I want to know, what if I'm right, how much do I make? If I'm wrong, how much do I lose, right? So I'm looking at this and I can use the P&L simulator and say, what happens if it breaks out from 600? And let's say, I project out the move from this 550 up to 600 and breaks out from that. Maybe it gets up to 635, let's say for argument's sake. Well, this allows me to quickly see, well, if it gets to the 635, if I bought the stock, I'm looking at about a 9% return. If I bought the call option, I'm looking at about an 81% return. And if I bought this thing called a vertical spread here, which for some of you, maybe you've never heard of that strategy, this more complicated strategy. Maybe you've only bought a call option before, but here I'm showing you another strategy that you can take for the exact same scenario. Instead of making an 81% return, you can look at making about 142% return on your investment. And this gives you, not only ideas and the starting points, but also starts to educate you on how to be a better trader, how to find strategies perhaps you weren't thinking about before in your idea generation. So more importantly than how much money can you potentially make is also on the flip side, what if I'm wrong and the stock breaks below, this 50-day moving average? Let's say it goes back down to 550. How much do I have to lose? I think that's always a better question to ask whenever you're structuring an options trade is not how much money can I make, but how much money can I lose? And ask yourself, can I afford to lose that? Because that's really what you should be asking yourself before you get into every single trade is, can I afford to lose this? So if you bought the stock, you're risking $3,000. If you bought the call option, you're risking almost identically $3,000. If you use the vertical spread here on the right, you have $2,265 worth of loss. So in all three trades, you're obviously going to have a losing position if the trade outlook you have is wrong. But the question is, how much do you have at risk, and are you prepared to risk that? And as you can see, the strategy on the right not only provides me with the highest return if I'm right, but also the lowest amount of risk if I'm wrong on the specific trade. And that's why it has the highest options play score of 113. And there was a few questions before when I was going through the strategy center of asking it to explain the options play score and explain what that means. And I purposely waited to get to this point before I explained, because every single options trade has a risk to reward and a probability of profit. Very similar to a poker hand. When you're playing poker, you're thinking about, what are my odds of winning that hand, and what is my risk to reward if I win the pot? And we're thinking about it in the same way in terms of whether a poker player should play that hand or fold, or if they have no particular edge. And as you can see, the options play score are color coded, and it gives you a good sense for whether you have any edge, whether the edge is working against you, or no edge at all. So they're color coded red, yellow, and green. Green obviously means a slight positive edge, red means slight negative edge, and then yellow or orange means that there's no edge at all. And the options play score is basically helping you identify the numbers that typically you would need, that you would see on most platforms. But as you can see on most platforms, when you're looking at these three numbers, max reward, max risk, and probability of profit, I mean, you look at those three numbers across three strategies, and you tell me which one's best. I couldn't tell you, because the first two say that's unlimited. One has $58,000 worth of risk. One has $3,000 worth of risk. One has 49% probability of profit. One has 36. One has 32. It's a lot of numbers, and it's really difficult to navigate through all of those numbers to figure out which one's best. And that's why we created the options play score, so that you have one number to look at. It's color coded for you, and you have the same thing when you're looking at the strategy center. Every single trade has an options play score. It's ranked for you, so you know which stocks have the best edge and which ones have the least edge when it comes to an options trade. So that is all designed and built into ACP, which is your advanced charting package. A lot of traders at StockCharts.com use this specific charting package. It is I use it in my trading. So if you're using ACP now, you now have direct integration of options play into your ACP, so that if you're looking at a chart, you like a specific chart, and you want to quickly structure an options trade, you can do that by simply clicking on the trade button or the income button for those of you that are looking to generate income with cover calls or cash secured puts.
So we also have an integration though with SharpCharts. So we had a question actually come through. Do I have to use ACP? Which kind of chart type do I have to use to take advantage of these options play tools? And I am thrilled to say either one. In either case, if you're an ACP user or a SharpCharts user, you have access to these tools. So as Tony is going to show off here in just a second, the options play widgets that we just covered and everything you just saw is also available directly in the SharpCharts workbench. Similar kind of look and feel and structure there, right, Tony?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Grayson, I would guess that a good number of StockCharts.com users are sort of OG users with SharpCharts. I know I am myself. I have a preference for SharpCharts, even though it's a little old school, right? Everyone's used to kind of the new shiny thing on the street with streaming platforms and indicators that draw instantly on the chart. I'm old school, and I really have a soft spot for SharpCharts, and I know many StockCharts.com users do as well. So if you prefer using SharpCharts like I do, that exact same integration now is available in SharpCharts as well. So if you're looking at your SharpCharts and you're looking at your options screen, like I said, normally you're looking at screens like this and you're trying to figure out what is the right trade to make, right? The other day I was trying to structure a credit spread, a bearish credit spread on Apple, and looking at a trade like this, I was actually on the go, and I couldn't, and I had to use an options chain at the time to structure an options trade. And I just remember how painful it was to figure out, okay, what's the right strike price to sell? What's the strike price to buy? And for someone like myself, who's been trading options for nearly 18 years, I can make it work. I can structure trades pretty easily, even using a screen like this, even though it's a fairly manual process. But like I said, you don't have to do that, right? If you have a bearish, like for example, at the time I wanted to sell a bearish credit spread on Apple, well, you can do that in just a single click. Click on the high implied volatility strategy, and what it does is it creates that bearish credit spread. It tells you to look at the December 27th expiration, sell the 225, buy the 235. You're going to collect $3.81, which is 38% of the vertical width. For those of you that have any knowledge, if you have a knowledge of selling a credit spread, you know how easy that is to understand. You know, a single click of the mouse, you're collecting 38% of the vertical width. It does all of the work for you, and you can use the P&L simulator if you like. You can also use the trading range simulator if you like. That gives you a good sense for, you know, what is the standard deviation or what is the expected move for the stock. For a lot of you that, you know, trade volatility-based strategies like iron condors or straddles, you know, you like to think about things like an expected move, and this gives you kind of that calculation. And you can even change your expected move calculations, and it'll actually reshade the charts based on your changes in expected move. But that's for those of you that are a little bit more advanced. Most people will just start with kind of the normal expected moves and be able to see what is the maximum risk, what is the maximum reward in that specific trading range, and you can easily structure more advanced strategies such as selling straddles, selling credit spreads. And like I said, you know, even for those of you that are very simple with options, like if you just want to sell a cover call, right? Let's say you own Apple stock, you think it's stalling, you don't think it's got much upside here, and you want to generate a little bit more income. Well, looking at this, you can say, okay, I own 200 shares of Apple. I own it at, let's say, $200 is my cost basis. And what it does is it helps you structure a selling a cover call. And, you know, you can use shorter dated options, longer dated options, more conservative, more aggressive. And it gives you kind of a much more limited choice as opposed to giving you that full straddle view, right? Which gives you the whole phone book. This basically gives you views that make more sense. So maybe a December 235 is a good starting point, and you can see, okay, I can get about 8.5% yield going out to December 235. If I go to January, I get a 6.75. If I go out to February, I get 6.66. So it gives you a good sense for how much yield you can get depending on if you go more aggressive with your strike price, more conservative with your strike price. So more conservative, I'm getting about 4%, more aggressive, I'm getting about 10% yield. And it gives you a range of choices so that you can quickly identify an opportunity to sell some cover calls on the specific stock, or if you like the stock to purchase, maybe selling a cash secured put. But it does all of that work for you here using the OptionsPlay tool. And then more importantly, if you want to just use it in the strategy center as well, you can also say, okay, what if I just want to sell puts on stocks in this bullish trend following list, and I'm willing to risk, let's say, $10,000 in this particular case. Well, now it gives you all the stocks that are in that bullish trend following list that you can sell a cash secured put and risk less under $10,000. And it gives you a ranking based on which one of those gives you the highest yield, right? So BILI gives you about an 8% raw return, about a 90% annualized yield. Micron gives you a 48% annualized yield. So you can basically, for those of you that like to sell puts, know which stocks give you the generate the most yield. And obviously selling puts, you have to have higher risk because, you know, you're equivalent buying 100 shares of that stock, but you can quickly identify which stocks give you the highest yield if you're selling puts or if you like selling puts. And, you know, we're giving you stocks that, you know, make sense from a selling put perspective because these are stocks that have broken out, pulled back to a support level, and gives you kind of more optimal entry for a for selling a cash secured put. But all of these strategies are covered in the strategy center. These are all available to you in ACP or in SharpCharts, directly integrated into your StockCharts.com experience.
That is a ton packed into one tool. We've got the strategy center, which I think the value there is just exploding off the screen. We've got the read-only chart lists as well, so kind of delivering some of those ideas on a daily basis directly into your own StockCharts account. And then in either charting platform, whether you're using ACP, kind of the newer stuff, or if you're a classic OG StockCharts user, I like that, Tony, we've got the OptionsPlay widgets built into SharpCharts as well. So really kind of a collective, experience across the entire site there. So cool to see this integrated into multiple corners of the website. It's not just kind of one thing off in one corner. It's really something that can sort of follow you, throughout your process around the entire StockCharts platform. So thank you so much for demoing all of this. Not just, showing us what the buttons do, but actually talking through strategies and ways to use this and things like that. I love that you're really, making it kind of an action-oriented demo here. Good stuff. So I do want to let everyone know, this is an add-on for StockCharts. So the key thing, you got to be a StockCharts member to take advantage of these tools. That makes sense because you need things like ChartLists in your account. You need to be able to customize your chart templates, across ACP or SharpCharts with whichever platform you're using. So to take advantage of these tools, you do have to be a StockCharts member. This is an add-on on top of your StockCharts account, so it's going to be an extra $40 a month. But I was thinking about that, Tony, as we were going through here, thinking $40 a month. Okay, well, first off, I mean, clearly, using this tool, you should be able to generate $40 out of value from these kinds of tools. If nothing else, this is saving you $40 of your own time every single month. I mean, the way that this is streamlining and simplifying your process, going and finding new options trades, to me is just so clear. But I was thinking about it. I'm sitting here with my coffee. My wife and I went to Starbucks yesterday for some lattes. We spent 20 bucks. So this is what, 2 trips to Starbucks per month for incredibly streamlined options trading tools that are going to take your process to the next level. That to me is just a no-brainer. So an add-on for your StockCharts account, you can bring this into your own process, and you kind of get Tony along for the ride with you as well. Tony, it's so great to see your content as well on our articles page with videos and articles, explaining how you're using these tools in your own process. So it's not just hey, there's some tools over here off in a corner. It's also Tony's on the site, integrated into the platform, showing you how he uses these things as he's going through the market. So any thoughts on kind of how you're using the articles and other content videos and things like that on StockCharts as well?
Yeah, absolutely, Grayson. So we've been kind of posting these ideas that we've been finding on Strategy Center, and I'll be continuing to do that on a weekly basis, just highlighting kind of some of the unique trades that I find using this particular trade. Earlier this week, I found a bearish Microsoft trade idea using this particular tool. I was looking at selling credit spreads. I was telling you about how I was trying to structure that bearish credit spread on Apple. It gave me the inspiration to say, what other tech stocks are kind of having similar setups to Apple. And I found Microsoft at the time. Right now at the moment, as you can see, bear put spreads are aggressive, using, it was a bearish underperformed stock actually at the time. It was Microsoft that showed up on this particular list. And let's see if it actually shows up now at the moment. It might be still here because it's still underperforming. Let me see if, it's not on the list here right now, but I found Microsoft, and it was one of the ones that I quickly was able to structure a bearish trade on. But when we find these kind of unique trade ideas from time to time that may be that we find using this tool, we'll publish that in the StockCharts.com blog that's in the OptionsPlay section, just to show you kind of how we're using this tool, how we're structuring trades using this particular tool, some ideas that we're looking at that are somewhat unique. We're going to publish that on a weekly basis as part of that, just so you can get also a sense for how I'm using the tool, because as we use these tools, things evolve and we find ideas as we use these tools, and we'll continue to iterate that. We actually have already kind of the next phase of our roadmap planned out as far as what features we're going to add to this. This is a continuing partnership that we have with StockCharts.com. We are just getting started, and what you're seeing right now is version 1. We're really excited by version 1, but we are going to be adding a lot more in the near future. And to your point, Grayson, $40, you spend $40 so easily going out these days. I really would like you to try to be able to generate $40 worth of value just by selling cover calls, going out roughly 45 days, conservative cover calls, meaning you have lots of room to run in these particular stocks. Look at how much premium you can generate on these stocks. Most of them you're generating substantially more income than just $40. even for 100 shares of that stock. So if you own 100 shares of Micron, you're generating $134 worth of income in 45 days if you own this particular stock. So, you can easily find opportunities to generate income in this particular case. Almost every single one of the ideas on this screen here generates more than $40 worth of income. And that's not taking any additional risk in your portfolio. That's generating income in your portfolio against stock that you own with a very conservative approach to that trade structure, where you have many times in this particular case 80-90% probability of profit on those types of trades. So we are hoping to be able to help you generate the cost of the subscription through a simple strategy using cover calls every single month, so that you can offset the cost of this using this tool within just a few minutes of subscribing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's so clear, and it's like I said, it's already been a thrill to watch your work, see your insights, and the way that you're looking at the markets through those articles and through videos and things like that. So to think that that's only going to continue as people use these tools for themselves, you really kind of get an options pro in the passenger seat next to you. I'm going back to my car metaphor here. So anyone who's interested in the OptionsPlay add-on for StockCharts.com, you can go to StockCharts.com/marketplace. That's going to be sort of the easiest way. You've also got some links around the site. If you are not a current member of the add-on, you will have some links there integrated right into the tools. It'll make it easy to find. But StockCharts.com/marketplace is going to be the kind of quickest place to go. And right up at the top of the marketplace, you'll see the OptionsPlay add-on. We've got a page there that'll allow you to read more about this tool. Again, kind of cover the things that we're showing you here today, but certainly not in as great of detail as we've done today. This has been fantastic, Tony, going into everything that this new tool does. But that page there in the marketplace will definitely give you all the info that you need and allow you to add this to your StockCharts account in just a couple of clicks. So very, very exciting stuff. Tony,
And we just post.
That you wanted to
We
add?
just posted that link into the chat window for those of you that want to take a look at that link here directly. So you can just click on that link that's right now in that chat window if you're wondering where that link is.
Yeah. And reminder, we are recording this webinar. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, hey, the add-on looks great, I'm going to go add that to my account now, but I really want to spend a little bit more time going back through this video and seeing some of these things that Tony is talking about in action. We will have the recording available probably kind of by the end of today. It'll take us a little bit of time to edit things down and get it posted for you guys. But we will have that webinar recording available for you as well. So this is actually going to become kind of another crucial little piece of using the tool. Even more value that you get out of it. We'll post this for you. You can go back and watch it anytime, any place. So Tony, any final thoughts for us before we close up shop here and jump off?
I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much, Grayson, for the fantastic partnership.
Likewise.
We've been working together for over now 2 years now on different options projects, and this is really the culmination of nearly a year's worth of work from your team and my team. Trying to put our heads together to say, I truly believe that StockCharts.com has the best technical analysis tools for anyone who's a serious options trader. So if you are, new to StockCharts.com, I highly encourage you to go and check that out just for the technical analysis. Even if you're not subscribing to OptionsPlay, please take a look at them. It is the tool that I use every single day. And a pro tip, for a lot of traders I found out, don't use the StockCharts.com mobile app. The chart list are on your mobile app, and
Sure.
I set up my scans to create a chart list every single day, and I scroll through my phone on my chart list on my phone to find ideas instead of scrolling through Instagram. And I cannot tell you enough how much more dividends that will pay you if you just spend 5 minutes scrolling through your chart list instead of scrolling through Instagram. It's going to change your life with regards to technical analysis. It is the #1 feature at StockCharts.com. I think you should go and use it, and hopefully you also find a new value here in the new strategy center, which now aligns all of the trade ideas you can find using stock charts with finding the best option strategies on it as well. So thank you so much, Grayson. Thank you so much to everyone here today. I hope that you find this useful, and please go check out the link here if you want to find out a little bit more and choose to subscribe.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Again, we always get this question, so we will have the recording available for you very soon. So take a look at that later if you want to go back to anything that we've said. But we've got the link there posted in the chat, so definitely check out the OptionsPlay add-on for StockCharts.com. So much value here. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. I want to thank Tony and the team for, like he said, a fantastic partnership and a great demo of all the value that's here with the Strategy Center, with the OptionsPlay widgets in the ACP platform, and also in SharpCharts, the lists, the articles, the list just really goes on. So thank you so much for all of your hard work, Tony. So great to see all of this stuff in person. I think it's been clear for all of you guys. We got so many people in the chat there posting, thank you. This has been great. I've loved this. It's so clear that people are getting some good value out of this already. So exciting stuff to see. I'm sure that we will be back again soon with another webinar with Tony. This is really only scratching the surface, only the very beginning of a long and fruitful partnership. So excited for more things to come. But again, we'll keep you posted with that webinar, and hope you all have a fantastic week out there. Trade safe, trade smart, and as I like to say, chart on, my friends. Take care, everybody.